All right, you ready?
I'm ready.
Hey,
Hey, it's
this
name
is name
pending.
pending. Wait, is that how we're doing our introduction now?
We want to do a take two.
No, I'm good. We can do that. That's fine.
This is name pending.
This is name pending.
I'm Keeper.
I'm Mike Culverson.
I'm Ginger.
Rob.
We got a Robin and Ginger. So we're all here. We have some contentious topics to talk about.
Yeah. What is it? It's the end of January, right?
It is the end of January.
Last
We've
day.
had a couple things. New president,
New president.
a bunch of politics, plane crashes, a whole bunch of federal things changing, taxes possibly
very quickly.
changing,
Fuck, I hope so.
taxes, terrorists, screw all the other countries.
Yeah.
But-
I mean,
But as always, we're going to start with book talk.
book talk.
Because, you know, we got to start with
book talk.
a good lighthearted topic first, which is book talk. So I've not read anything.
Shocker.
Yep, see? Big surprise there.
Yeah.
So we'll hand it over to Mike.
So I have been I've been listening to this one. It's been my continuous drive to work one. It's called Pandora's Star by Peter F. Hamilton, and it's narrated by John Lee.
Okay.
And so this one, it's 37 hours long, and it feels it.
37.
Wow. Oh, God. Okay.
We're starting tough.
So,
By the way, our drink of choice today is an old-fashioned.
old fashioned. What'd you make it with this time?
So I made it with Heaven's Door. And we're drinking the Ascension and Revival of Heaven's Door.
But anyway, so Pandora's Star, the book starts out with it's the NASA mission to Mars, and they're about to land. They're going into the details on flip and switch and guiding the landing and everything, and then they put boots on ground, and about the time they put boots on ground and they're looking around the terrain, they hear, "Hey, dude, what's going on?" or something along those lines, and they turn around. And on the other side of their lander, there's a portal that leads into what looks like a college campus lab. And there's a guy in a home put together spacesuit who is like walked out with a hose connecting back to the portal.
Okay.
Right?
So portal travel.
So then we fast forward like hundreds of years, like 500 years or something like that. Like we're into the 24th century at this point.
Okay.
I don't know what century we started out in. I can't remember at this point.
If it's 100 years, probably 2000.
Right, but 400, 500 years.
Oh, see, I can't math.
Yeah. But anyways, so portal travel has become this thing. So we're not doing space travel, right?
'Cause it takes
we're
too
not. It takes too long. So
It's your taxi service now.
they literally use portals to track down worlds that are viable for human life. And then they open portals there, and they send trains through. Like train travel is the big thing
Through
to
portals.
do. Through portals.
That's pretty fucking sweet.
Okay.
And so it's fascinating. Like the world building is fascinating, right? Because it does the thing where you're following multiple different characters through multiple different stories.
So multiple story arcs all together, all at the same time.
Well, but
all
they're
at
not
once.
they're not necessarily all story arcs. Sometimes you'll follow one character for just a brief story, and then you're done with that character, and you'll never see him again.
Oh, it's like a side story in the story.
But the thing is it's almost like it's a whole bunch of side. Like there's an overarching story, but the story
The
isn't.
side stories make the story?
Yes, the story isn't about the individuals necessarily. The story is about humanity as a whole in the world.
This is the direction with
Yes.
multiple spaghetti noodles going the same
Cool.
Yeah,
direction.
everyone's side story is adding to the overarching story of humanity's travel. And what I love about it is all these side stories, they add breadth and depth to
Okay.
the entire commonwealth that they've built, because you have worlds that literally have like 1920 style technology, and that's
Okay,
as far
so
as they go.
That's just they're advanced
And-
to that.
Humanity has discovered how to like regenerate youth, so we have people who are hundreds of years old, right? So you go into the clinic, They put you through the treatment. You end up back in your 20s.
Revitalized.
Oh, so you don't just stagnate, you go back.
You go back. Yeah, you become
Ah.
old and then you go back.
with your
That's-
memory intact.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
And all the exponential increases in technology that you would expect are also there. So like, they have embedded AIs.
Mhm.
They have pretty much everything you could think of, right? But all the different worlds that they've colonized also goes through the entire breadth of what you would expect. So you have some worlds who don't do extended lifespans. You have some worlds that have done genetic modification to genetically adapt people to be very, very good at certain roles.
To enhance them and
Yeah.
okay.
And, so pretty much everything that humanity in like war amongst humanity pretty much doesn't exist
Interesting.
because they can just keep expanding. They can just keep going.
Well, there's no point of war because you can just keep enhancing to get better and better at war.
Now, obviously, they've had a couple worlds.
I'm sure there'll be conflicts.
There's a couple worlds who, for dogmatic reasons or whatever, they dropped off the network, right? Like their network connection got cut. They didn't want to be part of the greater Commonwealth, what have you, right? But, there's dynasties that go back 500 years, and the same person who was in charge 500 years ago is
It's
still in charge.
Interesting.
People know their great grandfather personally
Because they're all still alive.
because they're still alive. Yeah, and so it's just this fascinating dynamic. Like the only part of it that I vigorously disagree with is and this isn't like I thoroughly love the story. I love the world building. I love what they've done because there are aliens, but the way that they introduce aliens is very fascinating. And I'll get back to the part I disagree with. And there's one species of alien that kind of... Have you ever heard stories about people like walking off into the woods and just disappearing?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
Dan literally has a force for this.
the aliens create what is called paths in the forest.
And they disappear people?
Well, not intentionally. It's their paths. It's how they get from world to world.
Oh, so it's their
travel port.
travel.
It's their
It's
means
their
of travel.
teleport.
It's not portals. It's something else along the same lines.
Yeah.
But people wander into these paths sometimes and
Accidentally.
they get lost.
Interesting.
And they disappear. But the fascinating thing is that those paths used to be on Earth, but as we developed technologically, they slowly disappeared. So it's a very interesting, and it kind of would explain like the times where people have explained seeing like Mothman and shit like that. Well, if like aliens are traveling these paths to other worlds and they happen to stumble across us, well, of course we'd see some weird fucking shit.
Yeah.
We'd see some Yetis. We'd see some Mothmen, right? So,
Interesting.
it does some very interesting and dynamic stuff there, and the alien species feel, I don't want to say human necessarily, but they feel like real people. Like they have alien concepts and everything, but they feel like a really imagined existence.
Now, did they go to these aliens' worlds, or did they all converged on these new worlds?
So every now and then they'll like be opening their exploratory portals, and the aliens will the aliens who created the paths will just be there.
Okay.
Fascinating thing about it is any world that the aliens who created the paths have settled, technology doesn't work. Beside past like
That's where they're at.
past steampunk technology.
Huh.
Whatever they're using, which is apparently so advanced, we can't tell what kind of technology they're using.
The aliens?
But the aliens are essentially they're elves, guys. They're elves.
They're elves.
Okay.
Like Lord of the Rings elves almost.
Okay.
Mm.
That's actually a very intriguing concept. Is it a one book? Is it a one-off, or is it like a series?
So there's a second book, and then there looks like there's a prequel book, but I obviously
Did you
haven't.
You didn't do prequel?
I haven't gotten to them yet. I've been trying not to read this book and just so that I have something to listen to on my drives.
Oh.
Just like not allow myself to read it and just listen to it, because if I read it, I'll annihilate it.
Yeah.
It's very frustrating to not have anything to listen to on my drive into work. But the only sticking point I have with it is that there's a preponderance throughout the story that because people have these long lives, that marriages don't extend pretty much past 20 years. There's no such thing as a marriage, like a
Forever
long-term,
marriage.
like a forever marriage. This is the only thing I really have an issue with. And the reason I have an issue with it is because I can't tell you the number of times you see like old people and they're like, they've lost their person or they've just been with the same person for 50 years.
Oh, historically, we've
And-
seen it time and time again. Their person dies, and like a week later, they die.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
it's like,
dude.
I don't think Cabo was trying to sell
I
my
saw.
drink. I don't think that you're viewing marriage and relationships in the worst possible perspective, in my opinion, as you possibly could.
I
Yeah,
could see marriages not lasting 1,000 years,
Maybe not
Not-
1,000 years, but I
but
would
like
say they'd
super
be-
common. But to say that it doesn't
It
happen,
doesn't
that it
happen
would never
ever?
happen, and that they would never go past essentially 20 years.
yeah, that I
Like,
don't.
I'm
like.
sorry, it's one marriage for me, and when one of us die, nah, I don't have time to relearn someone.
I think that's
No.
what we all want.
Yeah.
Like
no,
I don't
yeah.
want to relearn
Yeah.
someone.
Nope.
Like that's my biggest thing.
Yep.
So to say it's never happened, I don't buy that for the author.
This is so comfy.
I could see it like it's very rare because it's like, I've been with
Yeah.
you for 20, 30 years. I want something new because I can be 20 again.
Yeah, see,
Yeah.
and I could see the whole like, it's not everybody, but to say it doesn't happen and every relationship isn't.
But like I can completely get behind the whole gamut of there's an entire like spectrum of different relationships. People have harems or
Yeah.
But
or,
I could also
was
see
it
it
when
this
there's
way.
like 3 people in the relationship or more.
Triad or throuple.
A throuple.
Trouble,
What
Yeah.
did I
where-
say?
yeah.
Yeah, it,
Ignore
like
what I
I can
said.
get including these into it, but by the same token, I feel like you're doing all of us a disservice by implying that just because we had our lives extended to hundreds of years, up to thousands of years, that we wouldn't be able to establish a relationship.
That's one thing I just don't buy because right now in the United States, the average lifespan is 70 to 75, which means at 35, you're halfway dead based off the average. But you're talking about, we have people that live till 80 and 90 and even 100, and they die at like 98. One of the couples die at 98. You're like, and they've been together for 60 years, 80 years.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, so if we have a finite time on Earth now, you want me to buy, now that we can live forever? You can't tell me there's not going to be that one couple who's like, we've been married for 2,000 years.
Well, yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
I think
What do you do after the 100th anniversary?
I think I actually disagree. I think I think eventually you find that person that, or persons, or whatever it looks like, right? But however that shapes out, you find that person that you do want to spend the entire rest of your
Forever.
life with,
Yeah.
right? Maybe you go through several different relationships. Maybe the first 100 years is you figuring it out.
Yeah.
Whatever. But at some point, you find that person and you're like locked in.
Or it's like, oh, she scoffed. Okay, what did I do wrong? Like, you learn that in, like, the first 5 years. It was like, she blinked her eyes a fraction slower. It's like, ooh, sandbag saved it a little bit. Hey. But no, I mean, think about it. You have
Sandbag
an
definitely
eternity.
saved
You have
that.
the ability to have an eternity with someone.
Yep.
In this corporeal form. Oh,
God bless
well,
America.
a couple others.
Come here, Purple.
Being seen on a couple different cameras. It was these two.
Yep.
But think about it. Like, that's... I don't know if I'd want another person.
I can't talk about it.
There's so much work that you put into relationships, and even finding, for a lot of people, finding that person finally. Some people find it fast, and some people don't find it until much later in life. So once you've put in all that work to find somebody, to say that, oh, this is 20 years and that's it. If you have that real connection with somebody, you don't ever want to let that go. Yeah. So, I think like me and my wife, we would probably be that 1,000-year-old couple.
I mean, I think that's what we all want, right?
Yeah. Yep.
We want to be the 1,000-year couple.
Yeah, because
You good?
it comes, I'm lucky where I'm my other friend groups that have been married about as long as I have, there's a rhythm to their relationships and to their marriages, and there's an ease and a comfort and respect, a dependence on each other.
Well, eventually, I think I mean, because it happened to my grandparents, it happened to my parents, right?
Yeah.
Like, you get to know each other to such a level.
Yeah.
To where, why would you ever want to be separated?
No.
And that's exactly what I'm talking about. Like,
Yeah.
you blinked a fraction of a second slower. It's like, I left a single cup in the sink, or I left a sock on the floor.
Yeah, I think after
I didn't wash my toothbrush properly.
I think after 1,000 years, you get to the point to where you know each other's body language so good that you could hit that point to where it's like, you just see her breathing differently, and you're like, oh, fuck.
Bro, I'm telling you right now, you figure that out about 10.
Exactly. So exactly. So now magnify that times 100.
Yes.
You're talking about 1,000 years later.
Yep.
It's almost like a psychic connection.
Yes.
At that point,
It
it
is.
probably would be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to think about how much brain activity you could potentially have after that long, and then throwing a couple in there, you're like, bro.
That's
game
kind of
time.
crazy.
Yeah, I remember I was talking to a couple of the airmen once, and they were, they're explaining to them how long I've been married. I've been married over 25 years now, and I said, like, there'll be occasionally, it doesn't happen very often, but like me and the wife will maybe have 2 sentences all day to each other. We don't need to communicate like verbally all the time anymore, because I can look at her, she can look at me. We know exactly how each other is feeling. We know what she needs. I know what she needs. She knows what I need. It's easy.
Oh, I can tell that just, so 10 years of marriage with me and my wife, I can tell that just with, okay, is it uppercase? Is it caps?
Mm-hmm.
Is it like just in text?
Yeah.
It's like, I know what type of day she's having. Okay, I need to prepare myself
hot.
so I can be prepared
Mhm.
to de-escalate anything that comes in.
Yeah.
What if it even comes in?
Yeah.
Because you get to a point, it's just like the face, the emotions, any of it. And you're right. Sometimes we won't talk, or we'll go like a day without kissing her, a couple days without kissing her. It's like, okay.
And I think we're more prone to being built to having those kinds of relationships. Like, yes, I get that some people like the multiple, the multiple partners relationships, but even in that dynamic, I think that you built to the point to where you never want to leave each other.
But with one person, multiple people. Think about it this way: like how much can you learn from your throuple, your orgy, your whatever, your group of people you're with, but to go, nobody, going off the author's statement from what you stated, nobody has a marriage over 20 years.
Yeah,
it was like. I could have at least got on board if you're like, nobody has marriage over 100 years. Okay, well,
to the point
Yeah,
to
but
where
20 is like, really?
to the point to where characters make comments about their marriage like, hey, who knows, we could be the one in a million or billion chance that actually sticks it out. And it's like, bro, seriously?
Crazy. That's crazy odds. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not buying it.
That's a weird concept for me, because most people like say things like people who have been married before don't find each other when they're younger.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I met you when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I didn't have that horrible relationship or this or that, and that I only had you. The concept of being able to go back in time physically and prolong your life and be with that person who is your everything, I think is really cool. But I
think that's fantastic, because
don't.
y'all could grow old together,
and then be like,
And
hey,
then-
you want to
and then-
get young and go to a new world?
and then y'all
Fuck
would
yeah,
get
let's
young
do it.
and get all frisky again because hormones, right?
No, but seriously,
But
think about it this way,
that's
it's
so
like,
cool.
All right, we have a deal. Once we start hitting like 55 because your libido, and then once I hit 80 because I'm just like, I'm done, I'm tired. It's like, think of it. You'd have an age you would reset at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
there
like,
you go.
my prime was
I was
at
gonna
32.
say I was in my prime
Yep.
at whatever. Yes, let's
And-
go back to that.
And the craziest part, because I just thought about how much crazier would it be is like, you're the great-great-grandfather now, or great-great-great-great-great.
And being able to run around with your little babies
just
or your
that,
little
but it was
grandkids,
like,
your great-great-great-great-great-grandbabies.
Now you have great-great-great-great-uncles again that are younger than you. Because if we're resetting our bodies,
yeah.
like,
That's a really
that's
wild
a wild
concept. Yeah.
in this. Like we've totally went through this. The one thing you didn't like in this book.
It's
we
the
rabbit
biggest
holed this.
conversation.
Like, holy cow. I can't even comprehend living that long.
You're
This
good.
is the
Well, I
life.
mean, it sounded like probably the author, either through personal experience or maybe watching their parents. You see some people that do stay married 50, 60 years,
Yeah.
but they really don't like each other. And to me, that's kind of sad.
Yeah,
that
Yeah.
that
I think
happens,
that's sad.
But
But some
it's-
people have it, and like my grandparents.
Yeah.
Yesterday was the anniversary of my grandfather's passing, and like it's been a year,
Mm-hmm.
and
Shit.
my grandma's.
Corner.
They met in high school. They were high school sweethearts.
Yeah.
They were
How
married.
long?
They were married for 60 plus years. Like,
And so, based off this author, he would have had 3 marriages.
and that's wild to me because like I've never seen anybody love each other the way they love each other.
Well,
I mean, my grandpa was the biggest fucking asshole and jokester of all time.
But I'm sure your grandma loved it at times.
She fucking loved it.
Yeah.
She would, her catchphrase, ay beto. Ay beto. And like,
But
and
I'm sure
like,
he
I
was a
just,
saint to her when
he
nobody
was,
was around.
he was a good man. He took care of her.
Mhm.
He was a good man.
which is all his responsibility entails.
Yeah, everybody else, kick rocks.
Yeah,
I
you
mean,
can fuck off. I could be a dick to literally everyone else as long as I'm good to my wife. That's all it like
But,
and,
I
and
mean,
kids. That's
and
all
it
that
just-
matters.
So yeah, like seeing them and seeing how broken
well,
my
you-
grandma is without him,
Oh yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
like,
I'm surprised.
I can't, like 20 years, that ain't shit.
After my grandfather passed, I'm surprised that my granny lasted as long as she did because the only thing that took her out was cancer. But she was such a strong, fucking tough ass woman.
I have this
That's-
conversation. Go ahead.
That's my grandma. I mean, my grandfather passed away 10 years ago, and she's 85, 84, 85 now, and same way. She's just a big old strong woman.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know.
I've had this conversation with multiple people, marriage counseling, in and out. Your spouse is the one person you choose to love
Mhm.
daily.
Yeah.
Yep.
You choose to love your
Yep.
kids. You are obligated
Yeah.
to assist them in their life until they leave the house. You are obligated.
Yeah.
Your parents, they're there. You have to at least know they existed.
You have to show them respect.
Yep. But your spouse is the only one you choose to love. You make an effort every day
Mhm.
to do the action of love. And that's crazy to go, oh, well, 20 years.
Oh, we
I
hit our
only
time.
chose- yeah, we-
Let's gonna check out.
Yeah,
Later.
Byron.
Bye.
Listen, I'm about to roll back time, so I
She's going
think
great,
that
but
I'm retiring now. Can I get my
it's
benefits?
so bad in the universe that they have contracts that they write up beforehand, and it's like, oh yeah, so we're going to 20 years, and then our marriage will be over, and we'll make sure to do an even split.
That
of the
seems like a
assets
weird.
and-
What's the point then?
So I could see if the author
Ugh.
had an addendum where he was like to change the bloodline, like to increase population one way or the other, to change so it's not all my kids are blonde hair, blue eyes, not the Hitler ideology,
Yeah.
or not Russia's ideology or Chinese ideology. Like if that was what he was trying to get at, and if he said that somewhere, it was like, I have a reason. It's a shitty reason, but I at least have an understanding for why it's 20. But it's not even mandated by law. It sounded like it was just
Yeah, maybe
This
there's
is the
maybe you'll listen to more and they'll say something about it, or it'll be in the prequel and you can let us know
I'm 2
about it.
hours from the end, guys.
Oh
Okay.
damn.
oh well.
Is it in the?
I hold out
maybe it's
hope,
in the
'cause
prequel.
I don't think
Now-
these keep out some is like those old
What-
wise couples that everybody they're like the elders that everybody.
Yeah, the elders of
See, that's what I'm
everywhere.
saying. Like,
Now-
there's got to be someone old and wise.
I do hold
but-
out hope that maybe it's because of an alien influence. Because there is a rebel faction
Mhm.
that has been campaigning and shooting out messages everywhere and sabotaging shipments and stuff like that. And they're saying that an alien known as the Starflyer has invaded humanity and is brainwashing people and taking control of human society at the top end.
Oh, weird.
So we'll hold out
Right.
for a reason.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
We're holding out because of aliens.
So I still don't know if the Starflyer, like I'm 2 hours from the end, I still don't know whether or not the Starflyer is a real thing.
Man, that connects so hard. It wouldn't take much of a search on YouTube. It'd probably take 2 seconds. And you hear people say that's what the overlords of us are doing right now. You know?
But hey guys,
We'll catch you on the next
intermission.
segment.
Yeah, I need another drink.
That was
All
book
right,
talk.
so we'll catch you on the next segment. We're gonna check the cameras because they've been.
Jostled.
Pearlified.
They've been pearled.
That was the exact word. I was like, they've been pearled.
Pearlified.
They've been pearlified. We'll catch you on the next segment. It's just one of those. It releases. I always call it like a muscle milk. I don't know what it's actually called. It's
Lactation.
Yep, that's what it is.
Can we
My
talk
muscle
about
milk.
Can we talk about real quick the
Hey,
fact that
welcome back.
the fact that Snow White isn't going to be white?
Can
Oh,
we
we
actually talk
talked
about how
about
she got
this.
fired?
Did she really?
She got fired.
I've heard.
there-
I read lots of headlines of like Snow White controversy. I just didn't dive into any
No,
of it.
the
'cause
trailer still has her in it though, so she's
No,
still
she's
in
still in it, but
Yeah.
she's
Wasn't-
fired now. Like she's not
it. I don't think
gonna.
you're having to do any PR. I guess. Yeah.
I guess so. Let me pull it up. Yeah, was it Rachel Ziegler is going to
Yeah.
be Snow White? Let me search her name. But yeah,
So they're going to make according to Grimm's fairy tales, the reason that Snow White is because her skin is white as snow. Now, the reason that Snow White is called Snow White is because she was born in the snow, and she's brown, Hispanic.
I was just going to go. She has a nice, cold personality, but you know.
And my
I thought
other
she's supposed to be friendly. I thought she was supposed to be friendly.
well, but that's
maybe
that's
the
the other
character's
side of
supposed
it.
to be, but the person who plays the character
No, they're
very
cold.
much
Cold as ice.
very much is a very hateful person.
Yeah, very,
I
very.
just don't
you,
know.
you see all the
Yeah.
scenes with her in it, and they're a very cold personality. Like Snow White is like very happy, very
Yeah.
upbeat,
Whistles.
very. Yeah. I mean, like whistle while you work, and you're like,
I mean,
oh,
yeah,
fuck
that's
yeah, man.
literally
like, I'm
her
all about
song.
this shit, right? like on board. But no, it's like you see them in scenes, and you're like, oh, this person's cold as shit. Like it's that modern take on what women are supposed to be. Women are supposed to be cold and heartless and blah 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 in every movie adaptation, right? Like Miss Marvel, everything else, right?
I'm seeing contradicting stuff that she was either fired or not fired.
What Scarlet Witch? Yeah, like they're all like cold and heartless women. It's a Marvel character.
Okay, thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah, yeah,
I didn't
yeah.
know. I was trying to think. I couldn't think.
But they're
Working on it.
they're all, you know, semi-emotionless and fairly cold.
Yeah. And emotion is important for the characters. It's where you develop the bond with them as you're watching them.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Is you want to know what their flaws are. In fact, that was when I was watching the first Captain Marvel movie, I was trying to like, okay, I mean, she was, at the worst, she had some bad dreams. But other than that, like, there was no weakness she was allowed to have.
When they're emotionless, it's
And I'm like, cool. Every single Marvel character had a problem that, oh man, this is where they're fucked up in their life, and this is where they're messed up, and everything's just wrong.
even Superman had
Yeah.
kryptonite.
Yeah.
And you're like, but she's impervious. And it was even worse when they did Endgame because like it was zero flaws at
Yeah.
all.
Yeah.
It was like, wow, okay.
I was
I
actually
mean,
a
she could have
fan.
just snapped her fingers and everything would have been over. But it doesn't make sense.
Right.
And I think it just is a disservice to even the actress in the movie, you know, because like, why would somebody write that as a character? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
I enjoyed Endgame because Iron Man died.
Yeah, well,
No,
why
but
did- why
how
did-
he died.
no.
But you cared that Iron Man died.
Exactly, but I
Exactly.
cared that he died.
yes.
How he died and everything he did involving his death. Like how he cared for his kids, so you have emotional attachment
Yes.
before
Yeah.
his wife, his death, why he did it, and you're like, this was a good hero death. It wasn't you're dead.
When Spider-Man got ousted to the public at large, and then he allowed everyone to forget he existed,
Yeah.
that was an emotional moment. Like,
Yeah.
I felt invested.
Yeah.
Right?
And from a female perspective, in the same movie, we cared when Natasha died. Died.
Yes.
We cared,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
She was a flawed character that they had developed. They had done the work. They'd done everything. We cared that she had died.
But what did she have?
My problem is that they're trying to, and it's not just in the superhero movies, it's in the Star Wars movies, but they keep building these female characters. Correct me, I don't know if you're about any of these movies, but they keep building female characters that are flawless. They have no flaws. Why would I get? How can I relate to a character?
There's no relation. There's no investing.
Yeah.
There's
Yes.
no.
Yeah.
Why do I give a damn? Like,
Yeah. No.
You were perfect already. Congratulations. You finally died. Your imperfection is dying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We invest in people that we've seen them overcome, adapt, and move. And
Because you relate to them.
yeah, exactly. There's something there. There's
The
a
relatability.
there's a humanistic factor that we love about them.
Yeah.
You know, that's what makes
They're a
it so-
superhero. They
when you
fucked up.
strip
They
that
had
of the
this
way-
shit, and they still overcame.
Yeah.
I can overcome too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, that's true.
Yeah.
Ooh, do we want to get into?
Yes.
All right. Take two. Hold on. Dog's barking. No,
we're
no
okay.
one's barking.
We're
No one's
okay.
barking.
All right. So,
The fire
how do
thing
we
is
build-
whistling, though.
Cyberforce.
How do we build Cyberforce?
And Rob,
Sure.
I believe you and Mike have talked about this tremendously.
Yep.
Give us an idea
Okay.
of what Cyberforce is
Must
before
be.
we talk about how we build it.
Sure.
No.
If let me just put it this way, it's right. If I were talking to the Doge people, this should be number one on your hit list. The way that you think about all the government agencies, right? Each government agency tries to do computers management. I'm talking about the people who do offensive computer stuff, defensive computer stuff, your general maintenance, and I'll just say special teams, okay?
Yeah.
The problem is everybody's trying to do this on their own.
Well,
And
yes.
the funding is ridiculous, and none of them do it very well because
Yes.
they're too split up. And they're doing it all these different ways.
Because realistically, this is an entirely different war front.
Yes, it is. And to put it this way, China is building hundreds of power plants, and they're doing this because they realize that doing artificial intelligence, doing AI and building these AI centers requires a hell of a lot of power to run, right? So soon it's going to be AI versus AI. So we need a cyber force that was going to encompass AI and, of course, personnel that are going to build this AI, and is going to have to match this. If we continue to be separated where we have Agency X, Homeland Security, NSA, CIA, DOD, and then within DOD it's broken up all over the place as well. If we continue to separate like this, we're not using our resources to the best way we can do it.
You're completely valid, right? And we actually have an example of how to do this already that was done many, many, many years ago.
Mhm.
Do you know who I'm talking about?
Not off the top of my head.
NGA.
Okay.
So what is NGA?
Explain to me.
National Geoglobal Association.
Wow, you're pretty
She's close.
on point. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
pretty close.
I know things.
So the point is because all these different agencies and branches were building their own maps, their own imagery stuff, and everything like that, right? Well, they were running into issues because they had no way to consolidate this. So they built the NGA as an organization to consolidate all these disparate
Maps.
well departments, right?
Yeah.
So you have the Army, you have the Navy, you have the Air Force, you have all these varying, three-letter agencies who are all consolidated into one place, and they're all forced to work together because although technically, yes, they do work for these other organizations, they work for NGA under the umbrella of this. So even if we did not want to build Cyberforce to be its own branch, we could do something like NGA and build Cyberforce to be its own, umbrella corporation, essentially, right?
So
Yeah.
every department could have their army Cyberforce
Yes.
that worked
Kind of,
under the
yes.
Cyberforce
But
umbrella.
yeah, they're working under the same directive of rules. We deal with a lot right now is, okay, something simple as like, you want to install this application on your system. Okay, who's approved it? Do we have reciprocity with them? That means we can, if they approved it, we can approve it. And those lines change all the time.
Yeah.
And
From
what we
year
do-
to year.
Yeah.
What we deal too is these organizations do not, the biggest thing is they don't want to give up their money for this, right?
Yeah.
Because it's the whole money thing. The problem is, again, we're just not doing it very well.
Yeah.
We can bring in aspects from all these people to help build this. This is the only way it's actually going to make it work anyway, because we need the inputs. Because we need to know from the AV people, hey, what do you need? The Army people, what do you need?
Right.
So these inputs are always needed. But it needs to be handled under one force.
We
Because
want to accomplish the mission.
correct. And we know that each one of these agencies is going to have their own little unique thing that they need. You can separate their stuff so the NSA doesn't want to look at the CIA stuff and vice versa. That's not that hard to do. People think it's very difficult to do. It's not.
It's not.
It's
It's
not
not
hard.
hard to do a separation.
Now people inside will have, but then you have your offensive team that's doing your hacking. You're trying to go out and do this. It just helps make everything much more efficient. And I think when we think about, we've seen it where we work now. We've seen programs that people have bought that they spent millions of dollars that they weren't even authorized to spend, and it was wasted.
Well, I mean, I think that goes into the Doge and
Yeah,
the
exactly.
accommodation of waste and everything
Yeah.
like that, right? Because when you see these things get put in for waste and people submit paperwork for it and saying, hey, this is fraud, waste, and abuse, and it goes nowhere.
Mhm.
Okay, I gotta sneeze.
Gesundheit.
It's okay.
Pika.
Well, there's a lot of unnecessary. What happens is when we have these all broken up, there's a lot of unnecessary middle management. Right? You could probably tell us about this, where policy sometimes gets in the way of actually doing your job. All right, and that just shouldn't occur.
Yeah,
There needs
you
to be.
can't do this because we need this, and well, I can't give you this till you give me access to this, and
Yeah,
but we
like-
need this.
but
Well,
and it's where you need people who are very smart in the world. I would never go to a pilot, all right, and then ask him how to run a computer system, and I wouldn't
Yeah.
go to the computer person and ask him how to run a pilot. But that's exactly like, so for example, what the Air Force does. They take these ex-pilots and they make them commanders of IT units. They don't have any background on this. They don't know exactly what they're doing. Now, they're well-hearted. These aren't bad people. They just don't have the relative
they mean well.
experience.
Yeah.
Whereas if you have a cyber force, these people have only been doing cyber their entire career. And it goes a long way.
It goes a long way because they know what is actually needed.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's
And-
no different if we change the people. Is like you don't go to a brain doctor for a heart issue.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. You don't want to hire a pilot
Yep.
for IT stuff.
Yeah.
It just why?
And from a DOT perspective, right? I want the Navy worrying about doing Navy operations. I want the Army to be worrying about the battlefield. I want the Air Force worrying about air. I want Space Force worrying about space.
Yeah.
I don't want them worrying about the computer systems,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? Let them focus in on what they're experts at, and let Cyber Force focus in on what they're experts at.
So
Yeah.
how did NGA become NGA, and how do we form?
How do we follow it?
Yeah. How
Well,
do we form
sure.
not task force?
Cyber task
Cy-
force. Yeah.
Cyber task force.
People are gonna hate this because like even when they set up Space Force, they're like, oh, I have to have another force. Yeah, guess what? It's
Well,
just,
we're growing, we're evolving.
Yeah.
That's where everything is moving towards.
it's that
so like,
mental hurdle that people have to get over first,
get
right?
over it.
It's like, no, you need to let this part go. This
Yeah.
part needs to be its own child. Honestly, it's going to be the biggest war front head unit that we are going to have in the next 25 years.
Oh yeah.
I
We're gonna be
agree
doing more cyber
completely.
war.
well,
We're
on a
already
daily
headed that
basis.
way.
Yeah.
look at how many spam texts do you get? Oh, you owe. I just recently got one. Oh, you owe on
Yeah.
the tolls. It was like, no, I
Stop,
don't. I haven't
right?
gone anywhere.
Yeah.
Whereas like you get all these, you owe this or you owe this
Yeah.
or oh, call this because this.
Yeah.
So we're already dealing with it now.
And
I-
for me, this is where Mike, sorry, he's going through a little
He's
conniption fit
having
with sneezing.
a double sneeze.
Me and him have a
fit.
bit of a disagreement on what I'm about to say. I'm making it a government agency, but I have to, because I need people of talent, the military is very strict. Well, not as strict as it needs to be or it once was. Physical requirements to join the military. For the cyber world, I don't care. I need the smartest people in this country and as many people that maybe I need to bring in that are willing to join up to what I'm doing here. Because that's what I need. If that person is the skinny weakling that weighs 100 pounds, cool.
We have those requirements though for the bands of every branch. You get you start, you go to basic, and congratulations, you're an E5, you're an E6.
Yeah.
You're like, you've been in for 6 months, E5, E6. It's like, hold on, you're singing. I was like, yes, but it looks better if they're higher rank.
Yeah.
Like Air Force has that.
Yep.
Navy, every branch has congratulations. You've joined. Now you're a sergeant. Have fun singing. Your whole career is singing. But we have that, but we can't change the requirements for people that are, I don't know, needed.
Yeah, I'll tell you what's right now. You know who the best system administrators and IT people are? They are people who have ADD and ADHD.
Hi.
Or even autistic. These people are fantastic at this job because they either can be they can do multiple jobs, multiple tasks at the same time. It's kind of where I'm at. I'm a bit ADHD, and then you have the autism people who they're singularly focused, but damn,
Hyper
when you focus them in, it's unbelievable what they can deliver.
Game.
Okay, probably. Okay.
Mike said that he's
I'm a little
autistic.
So, you know, I don't pretend to be anywhere
He likes
near what
trains.
anybody would
It's
call
fine.
normal. It's fine.
That's
Right?
your new hobby.
Yeah.
He likes well, yeah.
I'm very obsessive about my job. I'll just put it at that. So.
Oh, Mike is making his
Is your-
return from his
Is your
conniption.
fit happening or is it over?
I think it's where the key is any one of these agencies or DoD forces and everything like that. It's everybody wants to have their skin in the game, and we have to just understand that you're not going to be that great at this part. If you're a Navy, hey, your ships, boom, make it happen.
So I didn't get to speak about this because you blew past it, but the point that I disagree with you about the physical aspect is like, yes, I don't expect them to be as physical as the Marines or necessarily even as the Army, but I do expect you to have the physical acumen to be healthy. Right?
Yeah.
Because I can't have
I
you
could
be
agree
a
with
300-pound fat ass, right? So you have to have physical stipulations to where, you know, we're not fucking shelling out for you being a fat fuck.
Yeah, I get that, and as a
No,
whole,
I mean, disagree with me.
And listen,
I don't.
As a whole for America, I want that for all
I
of
think you
America.
should be healthy.
You know.
I think we should have healthy standards, and I think there could even be waivers for
But-
5% above the healthy standard.
If you tell me that the best hackers, the two best hackers we have, say, in America, just both happen to both be 270 pounds, and they couldn't run a mile. If they ran a mile, they'd probably die of a heart attack. You know what I do? I don't care. Now, that may not mean they can't fit into a certain slot in my cyber force, and that's fine. They're not the deployable types, maybe, right? Because part of my cyber force has to have a deployable option with it, right?
Yeah.
They won't be part of that team. But you know what? Maybe they're part of my offensive decent team that only has to stay home.
Well,
This is the only thing they have to do. That's fine.
I'm sorry, but you can fuck off. If you are a 300-pound fat fuck,
Hey.
you don't get employed by Cyberforce. You get employed by the CIA or the FBI, and then when you die,
But
I don't have to
isn't
give a shit.
Cyberforce
Well-
an umbrella that everyone falls under?
Yes, but it's different if you're military as opposed to if you're a civilian
Yeah.
or a
so,
contractor.
Can
So-
you be a civilian and work for Cyberforce?
Yeah, then
yeah,
you can be
and
as
that-
fat as
and
you
that-
want.
And that's
Yeah,
where
I don't give a shit if you're a fat fuck if you're a civilian. I hope
Okay,
you
then
die.
I feel I
So, in
I'm
my
with you,
in my
Ginger.
world of Cyberforce, it's,
I roll.
Yeah.
I roll.
yeah.
I then I feel like your argument is oh my
Invalid.
god, invalid because if you're in the army, okay, you fall under army regs. If you're in the Air Force, you fall under Air Force regs, etc., etc. So
Yes,
Maybe they join as a
except that-
civilian.
then join as a civilian.
Except that, you know, if we're building a branch, which is what I hope we do, is a Cyberforce branch, then they have their own regulations, and I don't want those regulations to be just whatever. Because
No,
I
yeah.
I have a problem with where the regulations have gone already.
If it becomes a branch, I'll agree with there needs to be health standards strictly enforced.
No,
Fine.
that was just squished.
But if you are not joining the branch of it and you're joining as a civilian, cool. Be gordo petito.
Yeah.
If you're good at your job and you're good at delivering on your job, then you do
Exactly.
you, boo-boo.
Well, at
I
that
don't
point,
care
you
if
can be
you
a
have-
contractor. You can make shit tons of money regardless.
And I don't care if you have Dorito fingers and your keyboard looks like a freaking celeb.
Yeah, I don't care
Beard
if
nest,
freaking
if
food
you're a
neck
bar.
beard
wall hugger who
It's
has
beard
mom
neck
drop you
and-
off at the front. I don't give
It's
a
like-
shit.
If you're a civilian, I don't care. Like, if you do your job, don't care. Your contract, don't care. Now, if you join the branch that it sounds like both of them are trying to make,
Then
sure,
you-
yes, you have to
then
follow
you fall under those regs.
military
100%.
I do not want the physical disabilities that you accrued by being a disgusting fat slob to mean that you get disability.
Okay, agreed. Now, they can still join another way without joining the military aspect
Yeah,
of the cyber force.
congratulations. You can be a contractor and then you can die whenever.
Like, you-
we don't care.
You
I
could
hear you,
have
though, but if they
7
become a
neck
civilian-
beards or civilian
If
it.
they become a civilian, they're going to get the same benefits as far as medical wise as if they were in the military.
And the only way they're going to win a
But they
race is
pay
if they
for it.
roll down a hill.
Yeah, it's not as much as you think, but yes.
Yeah, no, it's not as much, but
It's
it's
a very
not.
subsidized.
They can't get disability because I'm a fat fuck and
Listen, man.
my hip hurt
Mama
because
June,
I'm a fat
Mama June
fatty.
sitting in a trailer in Missouri is getting disability right now just because she's a fat fuck.
Well,
okay?
listen, that's a whole
I mean,
other
come on.
discussion. Okay,
Oh, you
That's a
opened a
whole
can
other
of
discussion. Do you want
worms.
to go down this? Because I'll fucking go down this fucking rabbit
But-
hole, brother.
but you know I'm not
Hold
wrong
on.
on that one, right?
While we're doing this, before you guys start,
Uh-oh.
I'm all ears. Let's go.
Listen, in my distinct professional opinion,
Sure.
no one should get a free reign
Yeah.
to medical disability. Now, that is not being said because we are a first world country, and every first world country has to have some form of disability for its citizens. And I can say this
Yes.
without a doubt because otherwise, Ash Daddy would have died many, many decades ago.
Yeah.
Right? And I wouldn't want that. And I wouldn't want that for
we
anyone.
want protections for people who
Right.
have
However,
legitimate disabilities.
I want means to block.
Cabo squishing pro.
That's fine. She deserves it.
I disagree.
Well, then you fight Cabo off. Fuck. That's the world we live in.
Who's in control here? You're the dog.
You're the adult. You're the fucking human.
I'm the captain now.
Oh, I didn't even see Pro under there. Oh,
She's under there.
He's fighting back. The whole podcast is Cabo fighting. Don't let Pearl get up.
all right. I'm sure that's comfortable. There we go.
This is where he lives.
Yeah. No, I won't disagree with you there at all. As far as that goes. But what I don't want to do is I don't want to be inflammatory to those who I need to encourage this and everything like that. But for the especially for the standing up of Cyberforce, right? Whatever. Why I have to be a little bit more flexible for there, especially maybe not on the physical aspect. Yeah, I need a physical aspect for certain teams, and maybe against civilian or contracts. For
Well, and this is where we come down when we come down to Cyberforce is because my view of Cyberforce is Cyberforce takes over all IT
Yes.
for all of the militaries,
well,
which means that
I will say this. I'll go beyond every single government agency.
yes,
Period. Yes.
Which means that you will have individuals who they're tracked down the elements that they go out with the Marines, or they're tracked down the elements who go down out with the Army.
Yep.
And do you know what the expectation is?
Combat comp.
Is that you fit the physical requirements
Yeah.
that organization expects.
Yeah, and I'm looking at that's probably about 25% of my force.
Right. It's
Yeah.
not going to be that large.
Correct.
But you are going to have, and we're going to
Yes.
have people who go out on subs, and we're going to have people who go out on ships, and they're going to have to deal with the psychological requirements that
Correct.
entails.
Yeah, no disagreement there. I think where I'm getting at is more the civilian aspects. It's however they come, so long as they're here, they have it, and they bring it. I mean, I'm talking,
Dude, when it comes to contractors and civilians,
Yeah.
if you've got the brains for it,
Yep.
I don't care what piece of shit you are, as long as you're fucking loyal to the country, you're willing to put up and shut up.
Yeah, loyal to the country, and I'm sorry, there's also another thing that seems to be, for some reason, is becoming a problem. Can you show up to work
On time.
On
Well,
time.
show up to work.
And do your fucking job.
Do your job.
Fuck me.
I mean, hey, listen, don't get me wrong. There are aspects of certain career fields I believe remote work is completely a thing. In my cyber forces, that'd be extremely limited.
Can I just get, like our sand guys to show up on time?
I care if you show up during the core work hours.
Or, actually show up at least for an hour of the day?
Oh, man. Don't make me punch a motherfucker. I'll do it.
I'm just
He ain't
saying.
punched a motherfucker.
They always come into my office and like, hey, you know where these guys are?
But, and also,
Hold on.
in
Ginger's
cyber,
getting real ghetto on us.
Yeah.
Ginger, you got an opinion?
No, I was being Mike.
hey, I haven't beat a sysadmin all damn day. That's
I
a new
ain't
thing.
beat an airman all
Damn
day.
Yeah, but
See, I was being
But I think what Cyberforce would do is instead of these people can just hide in these little shadows. No, it's demanding a performance. So you have to show up to work and you have to do your job every single day. But we'll get the best out of people. And that's my thing. Because right now, we deal with this right now. This is from an Air Force perspective with the airmen. 40 to 50% of their day is literally doing, I'm just going to call it, put it in Air Force because I don't know what the answer is. Air Force shit.
Yeah.
I don't know what they do.
They spend more time doing Air Force shit than I have ever seen military do in my life.
Trust me.
Doing
You can look in their eyes. They don't want to be doing this Air Force shit for after day. This is not what airmen want to be doing.
I've talked to them, and they would love to be doing
more
our
what we
job.
do. Yes.
They want to do our work.
But they have what we'll call mandatory fun. There's mandatory formation. There's mandatory training.
I fought for 3 years to get a blue suiter, and I've only had one for 3 months of my 3 years.
Yeah.
And every time, this past 2 days, yesterday was a function that was mandatory fun, and today was First Friday. So nothing was done work-wise.
Yeah.
What's First Friday?
Nobody does work.
No one does work.
But it's the last.
It's a morale
Well,
event. It's a
the
morale
last
event.
Friday.
I'm not trying. I don't.
We're not
know.
arguing with you.
And we're not going to even go into the.
I don't get it.
It's
we're
a
not-
morale day. That's all it is.
And we want to get into the. Oh, they're allowed to take mental health days and some of these other things. Okay.
I want a
You know.
paid mental health day.
No. This is essentially what they're getting, and I'm not talking about one a week. We have, we have
Fucking twice a month
NCOs.
minimum.
We have
Twice a
NCO.
month.
I didn't know this NCO was in our squadron,
Oh, God. That guy.
and it turns out they've been there for like a year. I've seen this person twice in the office, twice.
Hey, guys. It's about that time for intermission. I know that we've been going deep into the discussions, except for Ginger.
I tried.
Been
Well, this was a hard
hogging-
subject for her, to
Ginger,
be
you've
fair.
been hogging all the dogs.
But you know what? We're going to catch you on a very, very interesting what might happen this year.
All right.
We'll catch you on the next segment.
We'll catch you on the next segment.
Yeah. Yes.
It'll turn off the
Oh,
display,
okay, yeah,
and the
that's right.
Ninja is based off of the display.
Gotcha. Makes some sense.
And there's no other settings for that.
Yep. Watch out. Come here.
Toby's gonna get sat on.
Hey, you need to move, dog.
All right.
There you go.
So we wanted to bring up the changing political landscape.
Hey, we're back. We want to bring up Trump.
Trump!
Trump! Trump train!
Trump train! Woo woo! Okay. I'm good.
But more serious. We want to talk about Trump's executive orders. We want to talk about his political stuff. Everything that's really going on right now with his first, 8, 9 days of presidency? 10 days
As
of
of now,
presidency?
yep.
Yeah.
I woo-wooed hard enough to hurt my throat.
He woo-wooed too
He
hard.
woo-wooed too hard.
Woo-wooed
Well,
too
maybe you
hard.
guys can
Too
educate
hard.
me on this because I was asking the question a little break. I understand tariffs against China, Mexico. We think about the cost of production is significantly less in those countries. Canada.
So Canada, once upon a time, was our best friend and compatriot. However, Canada has become very socialist lately, and because of their current regime, and
Former regime.
Former regime.
Former regime.
Yeah.
Former regime post-Trump.
You've heed your last haul.
Yeah, he resigned, like a week before Trump got inaugurated?
Something like that.
Let's be honest, that didn't happen until Trump was out the door. So the fact of the matter is that the reason that it's coming against Canada is because Canada was playing fuck games. And that's really what it comes down to, and it's because they had their regime in place and blah, 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 blah.
And how much money we were pushing up there for stuff that we can do here.
We want to be best friends with Canada. We love Canada. America loves Canada. They've always been our boys.
Oh, Canada.
But if Canada is not going to act like our boys,
then you're not our boy.
Then you're not our boy.
Might get you there. Yeah.
You know?
And I just thought it was interesting that was just put forward because I know
if I fucked your daughter, you wouldn't treat me like your boy.
No. With the Trudeau thing, that one, it made all the sense in the world. The guy that's, I guess, the interim as they wait to do the thing, if you've ever heard him do a couple of speeches, he's a different than Trump, but he's like their version of it, to lack of a better term. He's very direct. He's very honest. He's very he has little time for people who have bullshit.
He has no BS.
Yeah. He's straight to the point, and he just doesn't want to deal with it. I don't know everything about his politics, but from the outside looking in, looks like a guy you want to have a beer with. You know, you can sit down because, like, hey, I need to have a problem, and somebody's going to sit down and fix it with him. So I'm just interested to see if that's going to continue, or we're going to actually. I'm hoping we're going to work to repair the relationship.
No, and I mean, I know that there are things that are out of his control, but I think the things that for me are concerning is that day one in office, he says, I'm taking this, I'm renaming this, and I'm taking that. And it's like,
it can be inflammatory.
It is, and it's abrupt, and it's a scary thing to
concerning.
No, it's just. I mean, Mike told me about the whole Gulf of America thing. I thought he was joking with me. I thought it was a Snopes-sold article or something. And I'm like, that can't be real. And it was no kidding. It was actually a signed thing that was real. Like, and I'm thinking of all the problems that we have in America and the world.
That's what you're doing, day one?
Put this on there. I thought that was just kind of weird. It just caught me as odd. I was like, is that really necessary?
Hey, all I can say is that he said, drill, baby, drill.
Drill, baby, drill.
And I was all on board because you may be all about, like, doing away with, carbon emissions and everything, but you've already heard my spiel on this. If we're going to do away with carbon emissions, why don't we do away with these, I think it's 7 coal fires in America?
Yeah.
Which are far more than the coal emission or the emissions that we get from using, oil-based
product.
Yeah.
No, and I understand that, like, as a nation, as a world, we all depend on oil greatly for many things.
Products.
Many
Dinosaur
things.
juice, baby.
Dinosaur juice is literal gold, and like that's never gonna instantaneous. Dinosaur. It's never going to instantaneously go away.
No.
But the problem that I do have is taking away protected lands, and in order to do so.
Yeah, I'm trying to be. Yeah, it's
like
to be
there has to.
It's definitely a balance.
We have to find the balance, and
thread the needle. Somehow, some way. How can we do this where we can get the resources we need so we can be a little bit more independent, but then not.
Okay, guys.
Destroy any lands.
Yeah.
I think that's been name pending.
This has been name pending.
We've had a lot of topics, a lot of good things we're talking about. We'll talk the rest offline. Throw a comment down below. I'll respond.
Hey, I've been Mike.
I'm Keeper.
This is Ginger.
I'm Rob.
Hey, I need you to fuck that like button.
Always throw a comment down below. I will respond. And tickle that subscribe.
Tickle that subscribe. Hey, look out for your first responders. Yep. Look out for your veterans. Look out for your
first
family.
Responders,
your neighbor,
your family,
your community,
neighbors, your community.
22,
you know what?
22 a day is too much. Let's fix that. All right,
yeah.
Fix that in 2025.
Keep it down to 21.
Let's go.
And you know what? Politics, all this going on. Have a cordial conversation. We don't all agree all the time.
No, we do not.
But have a conversation, discuss, and we'll catch you on the next episode.
Bye.